NFL players and teams love to blatantly disrespect their opponents. Sure, a touchdown grab over the cornerback is already belittling, but there are times when players go further, trying their hardest to embarrass another. Seriously, you won't believe the players who went out of their way to show disrespect, plus the non-players interjecting themselves into NFL beefs, and the most demeaning move that wound up being the most replayed non-play in NFL history. This is the gridiron. 10. Steve Smith. If you ever watched Steve Smith play, he loved to disrespect his opponents, especially verbally. But his most disrespectful moment ever came when he was on the Ravens. A pivotal moment of the game, too. Halfway through the fourth quarter, down to the Bengals 15-10, 3rd and 14, Flacco was trying to make something happen and spotted Steve Smith wide open down the field. Smith caught the ball, having several steps on Adam Pac-Man Jones. But instead of staying in front of him, Smith let Pac-Man Jones catch up just so Smith could toss him out of his way as he scored. I guess he wanted Pac-Man to have a front row seat to his touchdown. 9. Deshawn Jackson. Deshawn Jackson spent his first 6 years in the league on the Eagles, but in 2014 he played for a division rival, Washington. In his revenge game in Week 3 of the season, in Philadelphia, Deshawn was intent on letting Philly know what they were missing out on. Down just 7 in the third quarter, Cousins launched it deep for Jackson. The defenders couldn't keep up with his speed. He caught it around the 30 and was too elusive to be brought down. An 81-yard touchdown grab against a former team might be enough for some, but not for Deshawn. He also had to run backwards and showboat into the end zone, which also might be enough for most, again, not for Deshawn. He mocked the Eagles' celebration in Philly, mind you, disrespecting the whole organization. 8. Antoine Winfield Jr. In a regular season matchup of the Buccaneers and the Chiefs, Antoine Winfield Jr. and the Tampa defensive backs were tasked with covering Tyreek Hill. Tyreek had already made plenty of DBs look bad. Midway through the first quarter, Mahomes threw a bomb to Hill. Hill got behind the DBs and threw up the deuces to Winfield, his trademark move. Peace. You can't catch me while I take this thing 75 yards for a touchdown. The Bucs lost that game 27-24, but they got their revenge, meeting the Chiefs in the Super Bowl that year, and Winfield got his chance at redemption. The Buccaneers defense completely stonewalled the Chiefs the entire game. Late in the game, 4th and 10, in a last-ditch effort by the Chiefs, Mahomes threw the ball to Hill, but Winfield prevented him from catching it. So what did he do? He put up the deuces. Yep, Winfield stuck Hill's own celebration right back in his face. Sure, he got a flag, but he also got that Super Bowl ring and revenge. Like Winfield said,
it felt amazing to be able to do that. Not even gonna lie.
7. Aaron Rodgers. When you say the name Aaron Rodgers 3 times, he doesn't magically appear, but if you say his name once, Bears fans will shiver from the horror that he has created for them throughout his career in Green Bay, to the tune of a 24-5 record against the Bears. So, in this one particular matchup against the Bears, Rodgers and the Pack were in the red zone. Rodgers scrambled, gave a little pump fake, and then took it in for the score himself. What he yelled to all the fans in Chicago was not, "I own you," it was, "I still own you." He wasn't just claiming ownership of the franchise at that current moment, he was claiming his ownership of the Bears organization for many years. 6. New England Patriots. The biggest comeback in Super Bowl history was the Patriots coming back down 28-3 against the Falcons, a monumental moment in New England sports history. But also, this was one of the most embarrassing moments in Atlanta sports history to drop a 28-3 lead. So when the Patriots had their Super Bowl rings made, they made sure each one had 283 diamonds to commemorate that 28-3 deficit. When Falcons owner Arthur Blank found out about this, he said, "It kinda pissed me off." Granted, the Patriots maintain it's about their comeback, their achievement. But come on, it's a little bit about the Falcons blowing it. At least for Falcons fans, it's a major slap in the face. 5. Aqib Talib. It was a divisional matchup between the Raiders and the Broncos, a simple running play in the first quarter. But suddenly, a fight broke out. The Broncos cornerback Aqib Talib took wide receiver Michael Crabtree's helmet off, and the two were continuing to fight in the end zone, taking full swings at each other. What could have ignited all of this? Well, you had to go back to an earlier matchup between the two teams. Crabtree tried to catch a pass on 3rd and 7, but it was defended by Talib. Crabtree was annoyed and bumped into Talib, which then prompted Talib to take his disrespect back to the days of Debo in Friday. He snatched the man's chain. Breaking a man's gold chain in the middle of the game? Did Crabtree really deserve that? 4. Richard Sherman. Aqib Talib wasn't the only corner to dislike Michael Crabtree. Richard Sherman was not a fan either. In the 2013 NFC Championship, when Sherman was at the top of his game, he was tasked with guarding Crabtree. And in the final moments, down 23-17, the Niners heaved it up for Crabtree, and Sherman was there to put an end to San Francisco's Super Bowl hopes. In all the excitement, he even went over to shake Crabtree's hand, but Crabtree shoved him away instead. Maybe Crabtree disrespected corners a bit too much, because they always gave it right back to him. Sherman even verbally lit him up on national TV in his post-game interview, calling Crabtree a sorry receiver. Whatever credit Crabtree had in the league, Sherman just dismantled it. 3. DeAndre Hopkins. When the disrespect comes on a national stage, it's embarrassing. But it's a different breed of embarrassment when you get shown up during preseason, especially while the Hard Knocks crew is recording. Back when DeAndre Hopkins was with the Texans, there was a time they had a joint practice with Washington. D'Angelo Hall was talking a lot of smack to Hopkins. He even put his hands on him. Hopkins didn't like that, and the two had to be separated. A few plays later, when Hall was covering Hopkins, Hopkins decided he was going to take Hall down, but without laying one finger on him. He juked Hall right out of his cleats. Hall couldn't even get back up after the play. D-Hop took the term breaking ankles a little too literally. 2. Jamar Chase and the Cincinnati Mayor. This one started with a lopsided rivalry between the Chiefs and the Bengals. As the mayor of Cincinnati pointed out, Burrow and the Bengals were 3-0 against Mahomes, heading into Arrowhead for another AFC Championship game. He then called for Burrow to take a paternity test confirming if he was Mahomes' father. Whoa! The Chiefs were not thrilled about that. But Joe Burrow took the high road. When he was asked who the best quarterback was right now, he said it was Pat Mahomes.
I think there's any argument right now. It's Pat.
However, when a reporter told Jamar Chase about this, he said,
Pat who?
Wow, to disrespect Mahomes like that. Even if you don't think he's the best, you gotta put him top 2 or 3. And to act like you didn't even know who he was, that lit a fire under Mahomes and the Chiefs. With this extra fuel, they beat the Bengals that game and went on to win the Super Bowl. Mahomes showed Jamar Chase and the Cincinnati Mayor just who he was with his Super Bowl ring. 1. Derrik Henry. But the most disrespectful moment to ever occur on a football field was the stiff arm that had its own launch countdown. After this one, Derrik Henry was nicknamed the Launch Pad because he sent Josh Norman off like a rocket. You are not supposed to be able to lift another human being off the ground like that with just one arm. And let's not forget that Josh Norman was a top-conditioned NFL player. They replayed this thing over and over on the broadcast, on all the morning shows, and the play didn't even count. There were offsetting penalties, so the play was washed, making it the most replayed non-play ever, one that Josh Norman can never live down. I mean, this man has a family that he had to go see after that liftoff. How is he supposed to look anyone in the eyes after he was sent into orbit? Some players just want to belittle, to embarrass. These people take disrespect to new heights, figuratively and literally. Sometimes it lets their opponent know who they are, and sometimes it motivates them to get the last laugh.